Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't think it is news to my friends on the Republican side of the aisle that you don't win every battle around here. The place is tough and occasionally you get knocked down. The measure of a man or a woman in Congress, or any place for that matter, is what you do after. We all witnessed a political showdown over the past several weeks, and now it is time to put it behind us. The challenge, my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, to step up and show the country what you're made of. And let us actually legislate on behalf of the American people. I've heard a lot of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle say things like, we don't trust that president. We can't work with this president. So, Mr. Speaker, does this apply to everything? Will there be no legislation until there's a different president in 2017? Well, that doesn't sound very realistic. On my side of the aisle, they're already saying, oh, those Republicans, they're hardliners. They will not compromise on anything. And when someone does reach across the aisle to say, hey, let's work on an issue together, what do we get? Hey, why are you helping them? I've heard it when I stood with David Valadao in California or Paul Ryan in Chicago to say immigration reform is an objective we can reach in a bipartisan manner. I heard from the Democrats, stop working with them. We're trying to defeat them. We want to take the House back. Look, I get it. There are millions of dollars to be raised by partisan bickering. Your side raised a ton of money off the past battle, and my side has too. The fact is that if two of us get into a shouting match, it is news. And if it gets bad, it will be shown on every channel. But if two of us reach an agreement on something, it's not news. You know, bipartisanship is something that is much lauded here, but it is infrequently applauded and rarely rewarded. But here's the thing. The only way we actually get anything done is to put aside the shouting matches and work together. I want immigration reform to pass. And even though I think almost every single Democrat agree with me, it's still not enough because there's only 201 of us. We don't run the Rules Committee or set the agenda. Republicans are the majority in the House. So I know I have to work with the other side. On your side, you say you don't like what the Senate passed. Let's not just respond with nothing. Let's craft a House response and put our own proposal on the table. Those on the other side of the aisle say they don't trust the president and can't work with him. Well, okay, fine. Then work with your colleagues on this side of the aisle. You know, there are 435 of us. We need 218 votes to pass a bill, and the president doesn't get a vote. The truth is that even during the shutdown, many of your side of the aisle have been drafting proposals that many of us on this side of the aisle are willing to work with you on. The question is whether the work on a bipartisan basis will be allowed to flourish. I want to spend the rest of this Congress working with whoever wants to join in either party to get immigration reform done. Your side needs a little time to recover from the last fight. I get that. But with 1,100 deportations every day, we can't wait forever. The kids who are losing their moms are not going to wait for you or for me. The husbands and the fathers who die in the desert because their wives and kids live here don't have any more time to give. But you probably ask, Luis, after the battle over health care and budget, how can two parties ever work together? But you know, that's exactly what I thought in 1996. How can we work together? I was here 17 years ago. In 1996, it was Speaker Gingrich who shut down the government. But after that, let's remember what happened. We passed a series of major bipartisan bills on difficult policy issues. Welfare reform was crafted in part by a very conservative House and signed by a very liberal President, Clinton. He had vetoed the bill twice before, but after the shutdown, reached an agreement with the Republican majority. The Kennedy-Kassenbaum bill was historic bipartisan legislation on health care, and we passed it after the shutdown. We can do the same if politicians in both parties are committed to accomplishment over campaign talking points. We can pass immigration reform this year. We all know that immigration reform is immensely popular with voters in both parties who want a political solution to fixing our broken immigration system. Diverse constituencies, immigration reform like labor unions and business owners and evangelical leaders and Catholic bishops and leaders that cross the political spectrum. Don't think of it as working with President Obama if it makes it easier for you. Think of it as doing your job. Think of it as working on behalf of the American people. Not for an Obama solution, not for a Tea Party solution, but for an American solution.